Hey, the Texas Trash Talker coming at you from Austin. I am your zero waste expert and recycling nerd of 20 years. Wow, it's been that long. So I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about a concept in the zero waste world that really supports the circular economy, and it's called extended producer responsibility. We just refer to it as EPR. And what that entails is kind of take back recycling programs. And one excellent example that I had a strong hand in was back in, let's say, 2003, before I was a zero waste consultant running my own business. I was actually an environmental organizer. So I went door to door all across Texas to talk to everyday people, just like you and me, about the importance of electronics recycling. Electronics are full of lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, and a lot of times they just get thrown into the trash, or they get put out on the curb, and the haulers come and pick them up and cart them away, and it goes to landfill. In other states, they may be incinerated, but it's really important to influence companies that are putting out materials that are really bulky, like those old cathode ray tubes back in 2003, those kinds of computers with the big block monitors instead of the thin, fancy monitors that we have these days. But back then, computer waste was a really big problem, and a lot of companies were using prison labor who are not covered by OSHA standards, by the way. They were using prison labor in order to break down the components of these computers and other kinds of electronics. And the prisoners were being exposed to these toxic chemicals, and they were only being paid like what $1.50 an hour. It was really undercutting the market, the fair market, for jobs on the outside in law-abiding society, and it was really exploiting those prison workers because of the high toxicity of these products that they were having to break down. And so when we got wind of this as an organization, my previous job, right, door to door, we started a whole campaign, because remember, I'm in Austin, and that's where Dell got his start, right? Michael Dell started Dell out of his garage, or I think his parents' garage. And, it eventually went on to this global mega corporation, but it has its humble roots right here in Central Texas. And our organization was like, well, who better to shine a light on than Dell, because Dell was the largest employer in Central Texas. So like I said, we did a door-to-door campaign. We started talking to people regarding the toxins in these electronic products, as well as the prison labor that was being used to break them down, how it was robbing our economy of job creation using prison labor, and robbing people of good paying employment in the local area to recycle these toxic computers under OSHA standards, right? So we went door to door. I probably knocked on tens of thousands of doors. Some agreed, some didn't. Some cared, some didn't. Some wanted to get involved, some didn't. But the overwhelming majority of people that we talked to saw that it was a problem, and they lent our organization their voice. What they did was sign our petitions. They were writing letters to Dell at his home address and the business address, and also writing letters to state lawmakers and county officials to pass extended producer responsibility legislation that would go on to become the 2007 Texas take back law for computers, and that was House Bill 2714, if my memory is serving correct. And it was a bipartisan bill that we passed. And of course, it got a lot of support because Dell got the message from their consumers across the state, and they wanted to be a leader on the environmental front for producer take back. So what they did was help our organization draft the legislation and find a lawmaker, several lawmakers who could sponsor and co-sponsor this legislation, and they helped lobby for it. Dell did, and Dell's lobbyists they helped go to bat for this piece of legislation. And after 3 sessions in 2005 or 2003, 2005, and then finally in 2007, we got that producer take back bill passed because of Dell's support for it. And nobody in the legislature wants to piss off the largest employer in Central Texas. So of course we got a lot of support, but it was upon, I guess, like third reading of the bill, whenever it finally passed the House and went to the Senate. And once it was all, accounted for and done, we got 181 yes votes. That's 150 state reps and 31 senators, and 0 no votes. We got a unanimous bill on environmental legislation in Texas passed with 0 resistance. And that just goes to show the power of grassroots organizing, and it goes to show how people can come together and affect the perceptions of a large corporation through all the letter writing and the funds that we raised around it, and all the guerrilla style protesting that we did as activists. They got the message loud and clear, and then they went to work with us. So it was no longer a push campaign against Dell. It was a pull campaign to get the lawmakers on our side with their help. So it was an amazing legislative victory in Texas. And we joined, I think, 24 other states at that time that had producer take back legislation for things like computers, TVs, and other types of electronics. Speaking of TVs, we also repeated that victory in 2009. We got the television take back law passed. Unfortunately, Governor Perry, who was governor at that time before Greg Abbott, he vetoed our bill, even though we only had, I think, 6 no votes compared to the previous legislative session with 0 no votes. A couple of new lawmakers said, we don't want to support that. And so it was vetoed, and we had to go back to the drawing board. So we repeated another victory in 2011. Keep in mind, Texas only has a legislative session once every 2 years, odd numbered years, and it's only for 5 months out of the year, January through May, unless there's a special session. And it is a complete feeding frenzy. There are thousands of bills introduced, and only a couple make it to the floor or even past the the calendars committee, right, to even get a hearing. So we were very fortunate to get a lot of steam built up behind this legislation for TV recycling because of our previous legislative victory with Dell in 2007. We got our bill passed in 2009 for TVs. Governor Perry vetoed it. We went back to the drawing board, and we recruited Thompson and Panasonic to come on board with us to help us get the 2011 legislative bill passed as well. And I think we had 12 no votes in the state House of Representatives, and then 6 no votes in the Senate. And so, 18 people out of 181, I'd say that's a pretty good showing for environmental legislation in Texas. But the entire thing is that producers taking back their own products to give a responsible outlet for their customers to recycle responsibly and for free is really the kind of pinnacle of where we're going with EPR legislation and EPR policies at the company level. Some states don't have EPR legislation for these types of products, so it's incumbent upon the companies who produce these types of products to take them back. And I'm here to give just a quick list of the benefits of if your company is considering producer take back policies at your internally. So that is a system that you set up for your consumers in order to be able to return those products in a safe manner where you are guaranteeing recycling for them. Then I want to make sure that you feel encouraged to do that, because there's many companies that I feel are losing out on the benefits of not only going toward a zero waste, internal operations and zero waste for your consumers, but also you're just kind of leaving money on the table, right? And what I mean by that is money that you could have recovered with these take back programs, so that you don't have to invest new dollars into new raw material extraction. You have to refine those materials. You have to make them into a new product. You have to transport them, to other states or, overseas for sale. But if you are recovering the products that were already manufactured, then you don't have to go through the raw extraction and refining process. You make your new products out of the old products and you just recycle them, right? It's a reuse or upcycling kind of strategy. And that right there is a major cost saver whenever you look at it in kind of the grand scheme of things. So just taking into account how businesses can, how they can be more mindful of their internal operations, what they're putting out on the market, the toxicity levels of those products, and where you can internally design and redesign your products for implementing or incorporating reusable, recyclable material and to design the toxins out of your products. So I'm really excited to discuss this with you and the major benefits that I see for implementing extended producer responsibility or EPR in your business. But by taking responsibility for your products as a company at the end of life through these take back recycling programs, you can very powerfully demonstrate to your community and your customers, your investors, your shareholders, that there's a true commitment to sustainability, and it really will boost your brand reputation and your consumers' ability to trust your brand and your operation. Now, EPR also provides that financial motivation for us to really show up in the design and innovation phase to design less wasteful and more recyclable products and packaging. We really want to shift the costs of waste and waste management as an incentive to save significantly on expenses. So rethinking your design for recyclability and reduced waste will really spur the innovation phase and can really help pioneer new materials and circular business models to get ahead of your competition. There's even potential for renewed or brand new revenue streams by reclaiming the used products for refurbishment and even resale. I don't know if you guys have heard, but President Biden has issued an order that will start allowing the repair of electronic products, or all sorts of products, not just electronics, where average consumers like you and me would have the ability to order the complementary parts that fit your product, and the tools, or the special tools, little screwdrivers, and the plain language instructions in order to repair your product, instead of having to buy new or, bring it to a local shop to have them, put your products back together again. So you can also, harvest the parts, for that could, really be lucrative for your business. That's kind of piggybacking on the reclamation of products and the refurbishment for resale. You can also harvest those products, or those parts. And really crucially, EPR will ensure that your company is meeting the tightening regulations at the local, state, and federal level to avoid costly fines. And it really does future proof your business, as costs to landfills are typically rising. So, in summary, by implementing extended producer responsibility, we can reap gains for business reputation, innovation, efficiency, optimization, increasing revenues, and more critically, our sustainability, really boosting the zero waste infrastructure within your own business, as well as having that zero waste structure support the newly emerging circular economy. We're no longer in this linear economy where over here is where we do the product, or the materials extraction, then we refine it, then we make it into a product, then we ship it overseas, or across state lines, and then it ends up on our store shelves. We buy it as consumers, and 6 months, a year, two later, it breaks. So I'm very passionate that the time for EPR is now, and I'm calling upon businesses to lead the way. Even if you don't have EPR legislation in your state, this is a great place to start leading in your industry and setting up the strong take back policies that your consumers can use, so that they can be responsible for your products at the end of life, of those products. So I would love to answer any of your questions. If you have anything that you want to know about EPR, or if you have just general zero waste questions, drop them in the comments, and I can answer those whenever the video uploads here. But the time is now, and things aren't getting any cheaper, and businesses need to figure out ways to bring in new revenue streams. This is a really great one, regarding EPR and leadership, expressing that leadership in your industry. So if you have any questions, again, on EPR, general zero waste discussions, circular economy, would love to pick up that conversation with you in the comment section, or you can just DM me on, in my personal LinkedIn account, or connect with me on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever it's called now. And this way we can continue the discussion. And if you do have any interest in our Cash for Trash Zero Waste Business Academy, you can go to zerowaste.com, or zerowastestrategies.com, excuse me. And we would be more than happy to set up a phone call with you to kind of do a discovery about what your company needs are, as well as if we might be a good fit. We have an 8-week online training program for business owners, managers, property owners, managers, restaurateurs in the food permitted business space. So we can help you discover these new revenue streams, and be able to help businesses kind of lift their industry up through that leadership prospect. So again, I'd love to chat with you. Contact me directly or through our website, zerowastestrategies.com. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going live every day for 30 days on these zero waste and circular economy topics. So please join me whenever I pop up on your feed, so that we can have this discussion and keep it going. All right, I'll see y'all